Hi, I'm Priya Das. I'm the creative director at Mosaic Silicon Valley. Welcome to a fascinating fifth episode of Mosaic Connect. You'll see the Indian classical Bharatanatyam alongside contemporary modern dance and set to an Arabic melody. You'll hear from our artists this evening, Maria Basile, Shweta Prachande, Hannah Doughri, and Dynes. Do stay tuned for the fascinating Q&A at the end. Enjoy the show.
Stories in dancing, not necessarily do we always have to have a story while dancing, but it's a segue into allowing you as an audience to get maybe a grasp on it that you might not feel so comfortable with if you did not have a story. So in terms of like the modern dance genre, we have storytelling and we have abstract non-storytelling or inward storytelling. So an example of an outward storytelling might be the ballet, where you go see the Nutcracker, where you already know what the story is going to be. You know when I talk about an inward story, it's a story that I start with, that I create my movement from. I'm inspired by music, or I'm inspired by some story that has touched me in a very deep way. And then I create movement around that. Okay, so I'll show you the first one. It's called It Is Well With My Soul, and it's to the music of Misia. It's a Portuguese fado.
Não quero canto amor são passos perdidos. Não quero canto amor são passos perdidos. São primeiros.
story chosen today is from Aesop's fable, and it is somewhere a South Indian version of it, because in the original story you have the crow running away with the cheese, but here we have the crow flying away with a vade, which I think what it tries to very subtly tell us that false flattery will lead to defeat. You cannot give in to everything that you hear, and it warns you that everyone might not have your best interests at heart. So this is a small abstract from a long composition, which is the poetry of a very famous and revered Tamil poet, Subramanya Bharati.
Hi everybody, I'm Lee Dynes and I play an instrument called the oud, and I'm really excited about this episode of Mosaic Connect, where we'll be talking about a piece that I performed with Hannah Doughri called The Flower Seller. So this is a really, like, one of my favorite instruments. It's found in many different countries all over the world. It's found in Northern Africa, it's found in the Levant, what we refer to as the Middle East, Western Asia, even Eastern Europe. And it's one of the oldest stringed instruments that we have. It's definitely the ancient predecessor to the guitar. The oldest dated excavations of ouds are found in, I believe, around the year 500 AD, dated to be from around that time in Iran, in what is now Iran. And so, you know, really, it's been really amazing to connect with something, with a tradition that goes back so far and has so much wealth and so much mystery behind it. One of the most special things is that it's a fretless instrument, which allows me to play scales that are called maqams. And maqams are scales that use notes that go in between our Western notes, using what we call quarter tones. For example,
piece was in Arabic, the lyrics and the soundscape as well. So it was quite interesting for me to take on this piece. But given that Bharatanatyam, the vocabulary of the art form is so strong and rich that it lets you explore new possibilities and gives you the freedom to innovate, I started understanding the word-to-word meaning of each of the lyrics that was given to us. So once that was done, it was about imparting what I understood and the choreography to my student. And Urmila is a very hardworking and talented child. The coming together for us was very interesting. So I sincerely hope you really enjoy what we enjoyed choreographing.
Darwish is considered the father of modern Egyptian music, and he was very prolific in his 31 years of life. He was also a very loved composer because he wrote music primarily for and about the people. Songs about making bread, songs about going to work, and of course, songs about selling flowers. In The Flower Seller, we hear the flower seller cajole her customers into one more purchase. She tells them how to wear jasmine in their lapel, and she promises that the flowers will make their darlings fall in love with them. يا ورد على فل وياسمين الله عليك يا تمر حنة يا ورد على فل وياسمين الله عليك يا تمر حنة وجلي طربوشك فوق الجبين على سنجة عشرة ما تحط لك حبة ياسمين في قروة شجر كرفرة يلي عوجلي طربوشك فوق خد لك هدية لحبيبتك ما الورد ده زينة الجناين خد لك هدية لحبيبتك ما الورد ده زينة الجناين وتخليها تدوب في راحتك وتبقى من ضمن الزباين وتخليها تدوب في راحتك وتبقى من ضمن الزباين قرب هنا تعال عندنا قرب هنا تعال
وحياة أبوك لم تكسفني خد لك أذن ده أنا اسمي نرجس ولم إنا كنت تنفعني لذة وأقول راجل مفلس وحياة أبوك لم تكسفني خد لك أذن ده أنا اسمي نرجس ولم إنا كنت تنفعني لذة وأقول راجل مفلس قرب هنا تعال عندنا قرب هنا تعال عندنا خد وردة يا بيه خد فلة يا هانم يا وردة على فل وياسمين الله عليه يا تمر حنة يا وردة على فل وياسمين الله عليه يا تمر حنة يا وردة على فل وياسمين الله عليه يا تمر حنة
So you can do movement for movement's sake, or you can do movement like in a choreography with content. And your movement always gives way to content, never the other way around. So if you start to put it in a bunch of abstract movement because it feels good, but it doesn't hold true to your concept, then it's not going to sell. So the form is dictated by the concept. So you have all this movement vocabulary, and then what? And then it's shaped by the concept or the story. The inward story for me was abstract, so it didn't have a linear format, didn't have now this happens and now this happens and now this happens like a story does, A, B, C, D. Like I'm not delivering it to you per se that way. So the inward story is always more important than the outward story. So if you have it on the inside, somebody's going to get it. And it depends upon their personal past experience as to what comes up for them. And the most important thing about dance, I think, is that you're moved, whether you're elated or it drives you to despair. Either one are valid. And with your personal experience, you're going to have a different outcome. But it was so interesting to me to find out what the interpretation is for the dance that I created with my intention and what their filter led them to believe. And that is the joy of dance and choreography. So don't ever think you don't get it, because you do on every level.
And I think what I enjoy greatly about the classical Indian form is the ability to pass on an experience through so many different modes. You have literature, you have music, and you have the body. Apart from the body, you have the rasa, which can come out through, like Maria said, with the body reacting or just the face and your hand gestures alone. What is similar in a way is that you are not the effect, you are the cause. So you cannot become the effect when you are performing. The effect is the freedom of the audience. So you can choose a certain direction of effect and become the cause for that, but you cannot 100% decide the effect for the audience. You have to remain
The dance is not driven by the text. It's not driven by the music, although lots of times it can be the inspiration. You can add rhythm, you can take rhythm away. We can use it if we want, if it's part of our concept, part of our intention.
like most of the time we explain the text as is, and we go into interpretations while dancing, but that is still just, again, us being the cause and not the effect. I don't believe that you are dancing expressionless even if there's no text. There's some amount of emotion attached to every movement, because it cannot be a geometrical thing that's happening on stage. It just cannot be a physical movement. You have to find that connection, and I think that is the emotion that you cannot really name, but there is that connection. I mean, how else would one human being connect to another? Like, you have the emotional connection. Yes. I think the most beautiful audience is an active audience, someone who's going through the journey with you and doesn't know the beginning and the end.